Hello, and welcome to another episode of Jazzology presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they're unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have the chance to steal the question for 1 point. We will ask 10 questions. And at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. Each contestant will take turns trying to answer the final multiple choice question until we have a winner. The person in the lead at the end of the regulation will go first. The contestants will alternate chances to answer the question until one gets it correct. Now let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning champion is George V. Johnson Jr., jazz vocalist and vocalese whiz, who is also quite active on social media. And this is George V. Johnson Jr.'s latest release. It's called Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit. Now, George, apparently one of your specialties is vocalese.
Yes.
Tell our audience about the art of vocalese briefly. What does that mean?
The art of jazz vocalese is writing and singing lyrics to improvise solos of Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Coleman Hawkins, Lester Young, McCoy Tyner. Take the lyrics, take the solo note for note, and break it down. I saw that pretty little girl today. You write lyrics to the whole. You have a beginning, a middle, and an ending. And it was created by the one and only Eddie Jefferson. And then you had John Hendricks and other people who specialize in it as well.
All righty. Well, our new challenger is jazz enthusiast Earl Jackson. Earl Jackson is also here representing the Vinyl Listening Lounge Club. Earl, what makes you a jazzologist? and tell us a little bit about the Vinyl Listening Lounge Club.
Well, I don't consider myself a jazzologist. I'm just into jazz. I know a little bit about jazz. I'm into music more so than jazz. But I guess about 4 years ago, I had an idea of bringing people together to listen to music on vinyl records. I have a large vinyl collection record. I've been listening to vinyl music since I was a kid. And I went to another session who was doing basically the same thing. So I thought I could do the same thing as well and bring people together to have fun, listen to music, and just have a good time and enjoy the artists.
All
and
right.
Vinyl Listening Lounge Club is both jazz as well as non-jazz music
Other music as well. All right. Well, let's get to today's questions. And as our reigning champion, George V. Johnson Jr. goes first. Are you ready, George?
I'm ready. Yes, I can be.
All right, George. The great vocalist and NEA jazz master Betty Carter once made a live recording that featured which of the following great trumpeters? Was that A, Donald Byrd, B, Lee Morgan, C, Roy Hargrove, D, Freddie Hubbard, or E, Eddie Henderson?
Wow. Boy, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a real good one. Wow. That's a real good one. Okay, let me put my thinking cap on. I'm gonna rule out Roy Hargrove. I'll rule out Eddie Henderson. I think I'll go with, wow, I'm gonna take a guess at this. I'll go with Freddie Hubbard.
That is correct. Betty Carter made a record at the old Bottom Line that Freddie Hubbard was featured on trumpet. It was on Verve, and it was called Dropping Things. And you are correct. Freddie Hubbard was the special guest trumpeter.
Wow.
Earl.
Yes.
In 1969, the great British guitar master John McLaughlin moved to the U.S. to join whose band? Would that be A, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, B, Shakti, C, Miles Davis, D, Tony Williams' Lifetime, or E, none of the above?
This is a good question as well.
They're all good.
I'm thinking they're whole hard questions for me, but I'm going to say Mahavishnu Orchestra. I've heard of them before, and I like that answer better than the others.
Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
Oh, I'm sorry, Earl. That is incorrect. George, for a chance to steal this question for 1 point. In 1969, the British guitar master John McLaughlin moved to the U.S. to join whose band? The Mahavishnu Orchestra has been ruled out. B, Shakti. C, Miles Davis. D, Tony Williams' Lifetime. Or E, none of the above?
Wow. So it wasn't the orchestra. I'm not sure about Shakti. I'm going to say John McLaughlin. You know, I think I had that record, man. Let me see. Let's say Miles Davis.
That's incorrect. That is incorrect.
Oh,
When
God.
John McLaughlin moved to the U.S. in 1969, yes, he did play with Miles Davis.
Okay.
But he came to the U.S. to play with Tony Williams' Lifetime, which was a trio with Larry Young on the organ. So you both blew that one.
Okay.
Let's go on to George and number 3. You ready, George?
I'm ready.
National Endowment for the Arts jazz master drummer Terry Lynn Carrington, who founded Berklee College of Music's pioneering Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice, gave her first major performance as a preteen at the Wichita Jazz Festival, playing with which of the following artists? Was it A, Sonny Carrington, B, Herbie Hancock, C, Roy Haynes, D, Clark Terry, or E, Duke Ellington?
Wow. Shoot, I remember Terry, man. James Moody had in the band. She was like 18, 19 years old. We was playing Sweet Basils. And she hung with everybody, boy. She's a fine young sister. It wasn't Herbie. She hadn't met him yet.
Okay.
It wasn't Roy. I'm going to go with Clark Terry.
Clark Terry? D?
Yes.
That is correct. It was Clark Terry, who, as you know, was a mentor to many younger musicians. So, Earl, you're up next.
Yes. All right.
Sarah Vaughan's first band affiliation as a young singer out of Newark, New Jersey, came with which band? Was it A, Lionel Hampton, B, Earl Father Hines, C, Fletcher Henderson, D, Duke Ellington, or E, Billy Eckstine?
Okay. I recognize the musicians' names, associating them with Sarah Vaughan, early Sarah Vaughan. Oh gosh. I'm gonna rule out Duke. I'm gonna go with Lionel Hampton. A.
Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
Oh, that is incorrect. George, for a chance to steal the question for 1 point. I will repeat the question.
This is terrible.
Sarah Vaughan, the great Sarah Vaughan's first band affiliation as a young singer out of Newark, New Jersey, came with which band? Lionel Hampton has been ruled out. Would it be B, Earl Father Hines, C, Fletcher Henderson, D, Duke Ellington, or E, Billy Eckstine?
Okay, I'm going to rule out A, B, C, and D. And before I tell you who it is, I'm going to tell you a little story because I got it on the wall right there. And John Malachi was the pianist of that big band. He named it Sassy. So I'm going to say it was the Billy Eckstine big band.
You're incorrect as well. The correct answer to that is that Sarah Vaughan's first band affiliation was with B, Earl Father Hines.
Oh, right, because they hadn't pulled the mutiny.
It was with Father Hines' band
that they pulled the mutiny.
And Billy Eckstine first connected.
They pulled the mutiny. Yeah, I should have told that.
All right,
All
George,
right.
you're up next, George.
You're 2-0.
George, who wrote the tune "The Jeep is Jumping"? Was it A, Johnny Hodges, B, Duke Ellington, C, Billy Strayhorn, D, Clark Terry, or E, none of the above?
Mm-hmm. The Jeep is jumping. I'm going to rule out Billy Strayhorn. I'm going to rule out Clark Terry. I'm going to go with, let's go with Johnny Hodges.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And there was one of our trick questions for the day, because the tune was actually co-written by Duke Ellington and Johnny Hodges.
Oh.
Or should I say by Johnny Hodges and Duke Ellington. So you could have gone either way, but you got that one correct, George. Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content, an exciting new purveyor of quality music programming. From podcasts to live performances and interviews, Savage Content offers an eclectic mix of curated entertainment programming for all music lovers. Be sure to follow Savage Content on social media to hear about our latest releases. And now it's time to ask our contestants our favorite question. And that's related to the fact that Savage Content has thus far hosted 2 video essay contests asking contestants how they fell in love with jazz. So for each episode of Jazzology, we like to pose that question to our contestants. So Earl, how did you fall in love with jazz?
I'd have to say basically through my family. My father, back in the 40s and 50s, collected records. And I, as a child, played the piano as well as my brother, my older brother. And I would say through my dad and with my brother, got into music and into jazz. And my first introduction, I guess, to jazz was back in the early 60s, listening to Stan Kenton, the big band sound. And from that point on, I just fell in love with instrumental music and instruments as well, including especially the piano.
So, George,
Yes.
you've answered that question already. How you fell in love with jazz. Tell us what keeps you excited about jazz.
The music. Every time I turn on the radio, I just hear this new music, and it gives me ideas to write, and I just love listening to music. I just love music.
All righty. Well, let's continue with our questions, and Earl is up next.
All right.
You ready, Earl?
I'm ready.
A couple of weeks ago, there was a Jazz Awards program hosted in Atlanta for the first time by radio station WCLK. Which organization has been presenting their own annual Jazz Awards since 1996? Would that be A, Jazz at Lincoln Center, B, SF Jazz, C, the organization known as JEN, the Jazz Education Network, D, the Jazz Journalists Association, which is known as the JJA, or E, Berklee College of Music?
Jazz Awards program. Well, you said 1996.
Yes, sir.
Which makes me think, it hasn't been around that long compared to a lot of other jazz award programs. And as a wild guess, I'm thinking, I don't know why, but I'm thinking Berklee College of Music because I don't know. I know someone who teaches at Berklee, and Berklee has a reputation of being a good music college, but I'm not sure if they've started some kind of a jazz awards program before 1969. So I'll say Berklee, E.
I'm sorry, George. Earl, excuse me. I'm sorry, Earl. That is incorrect. And now George has an opportunity to steal the question. And I'll read that again, George. There was a recent Jazz Awards program, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, a brand new program that was hosted in Atlanta by radio station WCLK, which is the jazz station in Atlanta. Which organization has been presenting their own annual Jazz Awards program since 1996? Would that be A, Jazz at Lincoln Center, B, SF Jazz, C, the Jazz Education Network, also known as JEN, D, the Jazz Journalists Association, also known as JJA, and E, Berklee College of Music, has been ruled out. So what is the correct answer, George?
Yeah, I entered my CD into that to that Jazz Award presentation, but I guess I didn't make a cut. But yeah, but I don't think it was Jen. I don't think they've been around that long. The one that I recognize, I'll rule out the Lincoln Center. It's not Berklee, so I'm going to go with the Jazz Journalists Association.
That is correct. That is correct, and that's coming to you from one of the founding members of the Jazz Journalists Association. So I appreciate you getting that correct, George.
Jazzology. Play Jazzology.
All right, George. You're up next, George.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
The NEA Jazz Master vocalist Diane Reeves made her debut album as a leader for which label? Which record label? Would that have been A, Blue Note Records, B, TBA Records, C, Palo Alto Records, D, Concord Records, or E, EMI?
Okay, I'm gonna have to take a guess on that one because I don't quite remember. Ugh. Okay. I'm gonna rule out A, Billboard, Blue Note. I'll rule out TVA. I'm going to say Concord.
Sorry about that, George. That is incorrect. It was not Concord Records, and Earl has the opportunity to steal the question.
Yes.
Earl, the NEA Jazz Master vocalist Diane Reeves made her debut album as a leader for which label? A, Blue Note. B, TBA Records. C, Palo Alto Records. D, Concord Records has been ruled out. E, EMI.
Okay. I'm only familiar with two of these record labels. The first being Blue Note and the last being EMI. So I don't think it was Blue Note. I'm gonna say EMI.
EMI?
Yes.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. Diane Reeves made her debut recording for the Palo Alto label, which at the time was under the direction of a man named Herb Wong, who was a journalist and broadcaster. Yeah, that was Herb Wong's label.
Yes.
All right, Earl, you're up next.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe I have a chance this time.
The guitarist in the Nat King Cole Trio was which of the following? Was it A, Oscar Moore, B, Irving Ashby, C, Wesley Prince, D, John Collins, or E, all of the above?
You said Nat Adderley?
No, I said the guitarist in the Nat King Cole Trio. Was it A, Oscar Moore?
Okay.
B, Irving Ashby, C, Wesley Prince, D, John Collins, or E, all of the above?
Well, this really tests my my knowledge here. I don't know of any of these guys. I'm going to go with D, John Collins, as a wild guess. I don't know.
I'm sorry about that, Earl, but now it's time for George to try and steal the question. George, the guitarist in the Nat King Cole Trio, and I should pause and say that this was during a time when Nat Cole was coming up as a piano player, not so much as a vocalist. He was singing, but he wasn't the vocal star that he would become. So the guitarist in that Nat King Cole early trio, was it A, Oscar Moore, B, Irving Ashby, C, Wesley Prince, D, John Collins, or E, all of the above?
All of the above.
Wow. Oh, I love Nat King Cole.
Yes.
There was a boy, a strange enchanting boy.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Irving Ashby.
Irving Ashby?
Yes.
That is incorrect. The correct answer to that question is another trick question for you. The correct answer is E, all of the above.
What?
They all were members of Nat Cole's trios.
Wow.
At the beginning?
No, I didn't say at the beginning. I said the guitarist in the Nat Cole Trio. There's the trick. They were all parts of the Nat Cole Trio. So, George, you ready?
Yes, let's go.
All right, George. Now, this should be right in your wheelhouse as a vocalese man and as a tunesmith.
Okay.
The tune known as A Grand Night for Swinging was written by whom?
A Grand Night for Swinging.
A Grand Night for Swinging was written by whom? Was it A, Duke Ellington, B, Fletcher Henderson, C, Billy Strayhorn, D, Mary Lou Williams, or E, Lionel Hampton?
Wow.
A Grand Night for Swinging. Where are they? Such choices.
I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to take a wild guess.
All right, let's hear it.
Fletcher Henderson.
Fletcher Henderson?
Yes.
No.
Incorrect. That is incorrect. And Earl has a chance to steal the question. Earl. You ready, Earl?
I think so.
All right. The tune known as A Grand Night for Swinging was written by whom? Was it A, Duke Ellington, B, Fletcher Henderson, C, Billy Strayhorn, D, Mary Lou Williams, or E, Lionel Hampton? And B, Fletcher Henderson, has been ruled out.
Yeah.
Can you put those names on the bottom of the screen?
Yes. Yes. Put the names, the selections. What are the choices? A, B, C,
The
D.
choices are A Grand Night for Swinging was written by whom? A, Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
Fletcher Henderson has been ruled out. C, Billy Strayhorn. D, Mary Lou Williams. Or E, Lionel Hampton.
Boy, these are tough.
No. I'm thinking of. Well, I'm not sure. You said no Billy Strayhorn.
No, I said no Fletcher Henderson.
No Fletcher Henderson. So my thinking and leaning is either Duke or Lionel.
So which was it?
I'm gonna say Lionel Hampton.
That is incorrect as well. And see, there we have the male ego at play. Because A Grand Night for Swinging was written by Mary Lou Williams.
Oh no!
And neither one of y'all said her name as you were cogitating on the answer.
My apologies.
I was thinking music leader and band leader.
Yeah, she was a band leader.
Yeah, I just
Come
didn't
on now.
know. I just didn't know. I
All
didn't
right.
know.
So let's
That's
go
me.
with the next question, and that would be for Earl.
All right.
You ready, Earl?
I gotta get one.
The Jazz Education Intensive Program
Jazz education.
that is known as Jazz Ahead at the
At
Kennedy Center was founded by whom?
Great.
Was that A, Jason Moran, B, Dr. Billy Taylor, C, David Baker, D, Mary Lou Williams, or E, Betty Carter?
That's a good one too. I'm somewhat familiar with that organization and the Kennedy Center, and I well, Mary Lou Williams was the last answer, so I won't go with her. And I guess I've heard Billy Taylor, Dr. Billy Taylor, more so associated with the Kennedy Center than any of the other people on here. So I'm going to go with B, Dr. Billy Taylor.
You know, Earl, that was a good question. That was a good answer, actually, because it was Dr. Billy Taylor who founded the program, but he was not. That was an incorrect answer, and George gets a chance to steal the question. The Jazz Education Intensive Program, known as Jazz Ahead at the Kennedy Center, was founded by whom? Was it A, Jason Moran, B, Dr. Billy Taylor, has been ruled out, C, David Baker, D. Mary Lou Williams, or E. Betty Carter?
I don't think it was founded by Mary Lou. I don't think she was alive then. And it wasn't Billy Taylor.
No, we already ruled him out.
It wasn't David Baker. I'm going to go with I don't think it was. I'm going to go with Jason Moran.
That too is incorrect. The correct answer to that question is the Jazz Ahead education program at the Kennedy Center was founded by Betty Carter. She actually she started that program in Brooklyn, and I have personal connection with that because I was actually a consultant on that very first Jazz Ahead, which was in Brooklyn at the old Majestic Theater, now known as the Harvey Theater on Fulton Street. That's where she started it, and then when she passed, it migrated to the Kennedy Center. So Betty Carter was the correct answer to that. And Earl, you still have a chance to catch up, courtesy of our bonus round opportunity.
I'm hanging in there.
All right, Earl. The highly entertaining book.
Okay.
Bebop Fairy Tales.
Bebop Fairy Tales.
Was written by whom? Was it A, Mark Ruffin, B, Bill Milkowski, C, Robert O'Meally, D, Bob Blumenthal, or E, Ashley Kahn? Who wrote the book Bebop Fairy Tales?
Is there an F? I don't know.
No, there's no F. You got to give us something, Earl.
Oh, the Bebop of Fairy Tales.
The Bebop Fairy Tales. Yes.
Bebop Fairy Tales. I don't know any of these people. Sorry about that. I'm going to take a wild guess here.
Yes.
And say Bob Blumenthal.
Bob Blumenthal?
Yes.
That is incorrect.
I'm consistent.
The person who wrote Bebop Fairy Tales. Now, George, you'll be hip to this.
I know. I ordered it.
But the person who wrote Bebop Fairy Tales was Mark Ruffin, who was a contestant on Jazzology. And George V. Johnson Jr., you are the continuing, ongoing champion of Jazzology. Congratulations to George V. Johnson Jr. on your win. And we encourage each and every one of you to try your hand and play Jazzology. We're particularly encouraging more women to compete on Jazzology. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link on this link below and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older, and be sure to follow us on social media at Savage Content to get all the latest news and updates. Thanks so much to you both, George V. Johnson Jr. and Earl Jackson, and to everyone who joined us today. Remember, you can check us out every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. Thank you, gentlemen. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Willard. Thank you, everyone.
And another episode of Jazzology has been completed. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
Right.